I think I wouldn't say I came up with the idea. I always wanted to do a talk show format. Talk show format is a idea of its own. It's a format of its own that's existed for many years. I had seen a couple of talk shows and I was like, "Ye mere ko yehi karna hai." The reason is the talk show involves two things that I really enjoy doing. One, the beginning of a talk show has a humorous segment, whether that's a monologue, a sketch, like a piece called to something or the other. It has something funny. Then you have a funny interview, and those two things together was great. Another two things that I really liked was it is performed in front of a live audience, so you get that live energy, but also it's broadcasted to a larger audience. So you get the feel of like putting things out there also, and you're just not doing it for 50 people. You know, it's out for anyone to see, wants to see. So I think just those two and those two coming together, there was no better format at that age. This is, I'm talking about when I was in class 11th. I was just like, yehi karna hai mere ko. This is great when I found out the format like that exists. So I always wanted to do it, but then recognizing budgetary constraints, skill constraints, manpower, I had to start with something. So season 1 was literally, I have 15 minutes of jokes, I have 15 minutes of interview, bye-bye. That's it. So we used to do that. So I pulled in a lot of favor from friends to come on the show, just interview, and it was very low scale. It was a lot of like, oh, you're putting something up. So I really enjoyed that. So example, even for season 3, I'll start with all the episodes so far. I've been lucky by getting Dulquer Salmaan on the show. I was like, wow, thank you so much for coming. It's just a text and he said, yes, I will come. He came from Dubai, which blew my mind that he'll come. He'll be really tired, but he still made the show. When Vidya Balan's team said that, yes, she would also come on the show, I was like, my show? Okay, thanks. Then for that matter, then after that with Anand Gandhi, whose work I really enjoy, and I think he's this cerebral, really smart person and intelligent. He has a lot of class. So why would he come on the show? But when he came on the show, I was just like, "Arey, ye to apne jaisa hai." Like, you know. I mean, I can list out all the people who've come on the show. I'm not just thanking. It's just I genuinely get surprised. Like when Irfan came for the show, Veer, he's been busy in the middle of his international tour, agreed to come for the show, and flew out just 2 days after, which is, I can't believe that people will go out of their way to come on a show which we're shooting in a venue which is in Khar. Like, it's not like a huge venue, but it's a great venue that gives you the opportunity to set up a stage. So like, including the venue and the celebrities and the entire production crew, I'm like, this is great. Like, I want to get Riz Ahmed, for sure. Fan of his work, his music. I want to get Hasan Minhaj. I want to get Shah Rukh Khan onto the show. It would be amazing if they would come on the show. I'd like to get... And it's just like anyone and everybody who I have seen and aspired or even been impressed by, I want to get on the show. If you love what you do, you don't have to think about it. I love my show. I really love my show for all the flaws that it has, for all the terrible jokes that it has, for all the time the jokes don't work and I just look sad. I love that because it shows the flaws of it. For example, when in one of the episodes when I wanted to give, the celebrity wanted some water, we gave them water. The branding of the bottle is that they didn't sponsor our show. If this was a TV, we would have cut it saying that no branding allowed, no, you need to do it clean, you need to so great. I want to show that we are flawed and we will put our flawed stuff out. If the mic is feedbacking, we won't cut the interview, we won't retake the question. It is organic the way the celebrity has delivered it. Because then you're asking them to act. The only objective I have is when our guest comes on the show, I want them to have such an amazing time. One of the most fun compliments, 2 times it happened. When Veer Das came on the show with Irfan Khan, at right the end of it, completely unexpected, he immediately stopped. We were about to go into the games. He said, wait, I have to say this. I've met Abish for over 10 years and he's been wanting to do this show ever since. He's getting to do it and we should all applaud that. And I was just like, that's really warm. Second was when the camera, then with Vidya Balan and Dulquer Salmaan's episode, the camera cut. We were done. Dulquer turned around, said that it's so much fun. I've never had so much fun before. And the camera cut, so it's not being captured. This was a moment, human to human interaction from a person who I respect and I think is at a stage where I'm not. Right? There's an aspirational value to Dulquer Salman. And when he said that, I was like, oh, thank you. Then Vidya turned around and said, oh my God, that was so much fun. And I was like, oh, this is all off camera. This is so good. This is the best moment. Because if it was on camera, somewhere in the back of my mind would be like, you know,
it was for the camera.
It's for the camera. They meant it, but there's 10% for the camera. This was 100% for me. And then there was a hug from both of them. I was just like, oh, I had a great time. I want to do this. I just want to make sure my artists, my guests have a great time throughout the sale. The criticism comes online. The criticism comes from really close friends. So, for example, I wouldn't say I love criticism, but I'm always keeping an eye out for criticism. For example, the criticism that comes is that the monologue isn't as funny. The monologue adds nothing to the show. If it was a television show, you're sitting there for half an hour, you're watching it. This is a digital show. You need to keep in mind the digital audience. You need to keep in mind that they can skip ahead and go to the thing. We addressed that. We addressed that in the first opening wrap of our season. We know you're going to skip ahead, but we're going to do this because this is a format. It's not a perfect format from my side. In other news is something I wanted to do one-off, but it just became a pattern we did this time. But then with the LGBTQ monologue, because there was a Transgender Awareness Week, and I genuinely felt for the cause. And so did the writers. So all of us synced together, said we need to do this. But I can't deliver those jokes because that will seem completely not so genuine. So all of us, all the writers, credit where it's due, the writers got in touch with everyone possible. Everyone came together. They agreed to come, which for me was like, okay, thank you for coming on my show. Then they came, they rehearsed, they came 2 hours before. They rehearsed the monologue, they did it before, they did it in front of the audience. They messed up, but we kept rolling. We showed the fact that the monologue was flawed, but we want to put the point across. And that point came across. And we weren't very sure how it's going to be received, but honestly, I didn't give a shit. I was just like, if people hate it, but that's the point that you need to put out.
Yeah.
I was genuinely impressed with the response of the LGBTQ monologue in the episode number 6. I was just like, oh, whoa, this is great. People really enjoyed it, and I'm happy that came through. Just my faith in humanity was reinstated. For me, that was also really good. The positive comments about that. The negative comments, I can tell you right now. Monologue is weird. I understand. I want to make it shorter. I want to make it funny. I want to make it unique. But it's a constant struggle to evolve. It's a constant struggle to make it different. The editing is a little choppy. I completely understand. It's a 1-hour interview, which we need to organically, at least, by the power of editing, make it look like at least 20-30 minutes of it, you know, from an hour. It's a lot of sacrifice of content that we have to take out. So some bits are choppy, which I let in because I can't help it. It's as organic. We don't try to cheat. We never add laugh tracks. So if someone says the audience is fake, I'm like, I can't debate that because the audience is sitting there. But we can't show the audience in because we have to light the audience. That means more money to light an audience. I would much rather invest that money in lights only for the stage. I have to dedicate 2 extra cameras for the audience, 1 extra camera person for the audience, which I wouldn't use in my episode anyway because I want to spend as much time as possible. Another thing we do is that we reduce as much wide frames and we keep it to as many tight frames as possible because most of our content is going to be watched on cell phones, not even on landscape. It's going to be on portrait mode. So because I identify that is why I'm like, okay, it's got to be that mid-frame. Subtitles are big because people are watching it on the phone. In our first episode, unfortunately, because of some syncing issues, the subtitle was too big. So in the second episode opening, we addressed that with a joke. We accept our flaws. We try to move ahead with it. We will be more flawed, but we'll make a joke about it the next time. That's the best thing about comedy.
Yeah.
You mess it up, address it with a joke. I don't know, man. I genuinely don't know. I really can't. If censorship is on board for my show, it'll curb my creative freedom, right? For my show. I don't know about the others because is there a line? Number one. These are all terms that I think we've created. Yes, there is a line. Oh, this is that line. Oh, there's no line. I have no idea. There are a lot of things that I wouldn't cross the line for because I understand that, okay, this might be construed in a different way. So for example, if I made a joke 5 years ago about something, it's the same joke if I crack today, it could be sexist, it could be racist, it could be bigoted, it could be anything. But 5 years ago, I was a comedian who didn't have the social understanding, or the world has grown and so has the comedian and the creator. But if you hold the comedian, creator, director to the work that they did so many years ago because they weren't evolved, that is unjust. That's injustice, or whatever the correct pronunciation is. I personally believe, censorship or no censorship, every creator needs to run their conscience through the team's conscience. Is everyone's approved? Please go ahead and put it. Because that means that if you and a certain amount of people in your peer who said this is okay, that content is catering to that person and that ecosystem. Just because your ecosystem doesn't fit morally or ethically to my ecosystem doesn't mean my ecosystem is wrong. We're all different. You have a different ecosystem. Just unsubscribe. Mostly I'm watching how-to videos. I'm watching how to edit videos, how to do After Effects, if FCPX better than Adobe Premiere Pro CC, I'm watching that. I'm watching, is this mobile phone better than that mobile phone? I'm watching slow motion guys getting slapped. I'm watching hot nickel ball falling over silica gel. I'm watching all of that. I'm just watching tune off content. Just tuned off, I watch it. And then I'm also watching a lot of series that goes on every platform, because I'm not watching it as a content creator. I'm watching it as a guy who's just tuning out from work and I just want to get entertained. So I'm watching right from things that's just wasting time to series that I can talk to my friends about and look cool. So I'm watching everything. I'm gonna watch the DC's new movie also, Justice League. Regardless of the reviews, I'm gonna watch it. It's good or bad, I'll watch it. This is not my job, but I like it. Hi, my name is Abish Matthew and you're watching me on IndianWikimedia.com.